modern Australian city in this year 1956. Where once the wandering Aborigines hunted the wallaby and the kangaroo for their food, modern Australians go shopping for theirs and go hunting for bargains in the houses of business and commerce. Less than 100 years ago, the wild duck settled here on the tea tree swamps and the bush and bark gunyahs of the Aborigines. Then our pioneer settler architects and builders, convicts and free men, built their pillared churches and public buildings, which stand today solid evidence of their skill and workmanship. And side by side with them stand the tall and beautiful creations of today's building craftsmen. Straggling one-story towns of yesterday are growing up today, higher and higher, pushing up the city skylines, reaching for the clouds. Tall new buildings, forging upwards in the race to catch and keep pace with the growing needs of growing cities. Here are just a few of the men who helped to build them. The men behind the shovels and the barrows, the axe and the saw and the oxy-torch. The building workers who mix and carry, pour and form the concrete, whose hands shape the steel and carve the stone, and raise the bricks in the modern house that Jack builds. The building industry is a dangerous one. The accident rate is high. Watch your step, mate. One false move, and it's a long way to the bottom. A dogman needs a strong arm and a steel nerve if he wants to stay in one piece. He needs a cool head and a keen ear. He holds his mate's life in those hands. And that load of bricks he's standing on could cause slaughter in the streets. Danger. Watch where you put your feet. Make sure of your grip. There's a saying in the building game, it's not the fall that hurts you, it's the sudden stop at the bottom. Tragedies like this are all too common. Accidents on the big buildings claim too many lives of the workers who build them, cause too many sad bereavements, too many tragic injuries, cost too much public money. Many accidents like this one seem unavoidable. Just freakish happenings out of the blue. Bad luck. But many of them could have been avoided by more care and thought, and by strictly observing the safety regulations. Modern building tools and machinery are designed to work fast. Like this ramset gun that fires a steel bolt deep into solid concrete. Tools and machinery designed to chop, cut, and rip tough building materials into shape, quickly and efficiently. Unless machinery like this is guarded properly and used with caution, it can deal with fingers and limbs and whole bodies just as easily.
I'm not doing too bad now. I got enough fingers left to write with and hold down an office job. But I'd be doing a lot better if I hadn't got too used to that circular saw.
He was one of the luckier ones. There are many more such cases in the Building Workers Industrial Union's compensation records. In 1954, in New South Wales alone, 13,000 building workers were injured, 1 in every 5. The records of the hospitals and the law courts contain many more. Smith versus Payne, alleged negligence. Smith versus Pell, Smith versus West, no guardrail. Failure to inspect, failure to check, failure to report, failure to observe, etc., etc., etc.
William James Smith. William James Smith. William James Smith, a reserved judgment.
I wish to bring to your notice that a settlement has been agreed upon by my client and the plaintiff. It was never the wish of my client to deny the plaintiff justice. In consideration of the fact that an agreement has been reached, I would ask Your Honor to dismiss the case.
Justice? Well, maybe it was, and maybe not. But no amount of compensation could buy him back the power to stand and walk on his own 2 legs again, or to ever again live and work like a normal, healthy man. It was the end of all his plans for William James Smith, and of hers, too. This is the story of Bill Smith, just an ordinary average fella, and his wife Marjorie. It's a typical story. It could be any building worker.
Either of you blokes from the building game?
The building game? That's my old trade. I never ever did get a chance to get started properly before I joined the army. Why?
Are you looking for a job?
Yeah? Yeah, why?
Well, I'm a foreman on the Jackson job, and I tell you, we can't get tradesmen. If you go round to the office in the morning, mention my name, well, you can start work tomorrow if you like.
Tomorrow? Well, make it Monday, sport. I've got to find time for little girl for March first.
Any time you like, son. But make it as soon as you can. We're in a hurry. When do you expect to start work, son?
I'm glad you asked me that question, Nick.
We can get married any time you say. I've got my gratuity coming and the trade's screaming out for men. Could start tomorrow if I wanted to, but I put it off till Monday. Tomorrow and Sunday are for you and me.
And so Bill and Marge began their life together. Summer came and went and came again, and found the Smiths happy together and planning for the future. In 1946, the post-war boom was in full swing. The building trade had a lot of leeway to make up. Things worked out pretty well for Bill and Marge. He got a job with a home construction company and started work on cottages. All the boys back from the war were going to have new homes to settle in. And the ones who fought on the home front and battled through 6 years of housing shortages saw relief in sight too. Bill and Marge worked hard and saved a bit of money against the time when they would put a deposit on a cottage for themselves.
You young blokes don't know what hard times are. And after winning up myself and come out of the army, didn't know how I'd go. My old man had a tough trot after World War I. So did a lot more. My oath. Doing all right now, though. Gonna build myself one like that soon. Through the banks, of course. Well, good luck to you. As long as the banks don't take it off you when the arse falls out of the market.
I say, ladies and gentlemen, we have carried the policy of homes for the people too far. We can stifle commerce and industry no longer. The nation cannot become great unless we reach for the skies.
Bill and Marge would have to wait a little longer for that cottage they were planning. And a lot of others, too, in temporary dwellings, would have to wait as patiently as they could for their new homes, too. Meanwhile, the tall nerve centers of commerce and industry reached for the skies.
Higher than you used to, eh?
There's a bit. Not too high for me, though.
That's the work. There's one of your union organizers. Now, don't hang around too long. We got to finish this job. Hey, up there! What about taking up tonight?
G'day. How's it on the job, Bill? Any trouble?
No trouble.
No pushing around, no hurry up?
Nothing you need worry about. Just the usual give and take. But not a bad mob.
You don't want to give too much or take too much on these high ones, son. Slips don't go over on jobs like these.
Why not?
And don't forget, the union's not there just to settle claims after accidents, but to prevent them. You do as the regulations say, and if anybody tells you to ignore them, let us know.
Right.
I don't like the look of that scaffolding, Joe. Must have got that timber out of Noah's Ark. If we never got it out of Captain Cook's cottage. Look at the thread on them belts. That's not according to Hoyle.
Was you ever on a job where everything was according to Hoyle? Nothing would have ever got built. Now, she's solid. Now you can start work or snatch your time. I'm easy.
Hey, Joe. He's pretty right about these bolts, mate. They don't look too good to me.
You wasn't out of your time when you went to the war, was you? And since you came out, you've had it nice and easy, close to the ground, haven't you?
Yeah. So what?
Well, if you got the wind up, you can snatch your time too. We want the kind of men on this job that'll finish it.
Well, you can finish it without me, mate.
Now, take it easy. Take it easy. Now, this scaffolding act, it's just so much red tape. Didn't you get enough red tape in the army? Now, the old bloke, he's had his moan, and he's gone back to work, ain't he? Now, this scaffolding's safe. I'll be on it a dozen times myself a day, won't I?
Yeah. And how many times you'll be on it?
That's more like it. We gotta finish this job and get on to the next one. And there's a job and a few bob extra for anyone who gives us a fair go, mate.
Okay. But it still doesn't look too safe to me.
She's safe as a bank, son. Right now, you blokes. Gonna move on there.
It doesn't take much to cause an accident. Just a pound or two more than an old plank can carry. The scaffolding bolts were bad, but they held this time. But those planks couldn't hold much longer. Maybe they didn't come from the Ark, but they should have become kindling wood for someone years ago. We know the rest of Bill's story, such as it is. It's a dull story from there on anyway. He still has a lot of pain, but nobody else feels it. He still has a lot of memories, but not much future. The union gave Bill the right advice, and now he knows it, the hard way. If he'd refused to get onto that dangerous scaffold and called in his union, they'd have fought his case just as hard as they had to in the long run to get him compensation. And he'd still be walking and working. an active, normal man, instead of a cripple. The safety regulations were carefully formulated through the years for your own good, mainly by you yourselves and by your union. To defy them is to court disaster. Many of the provisions of our protective acts would have been unnecessary, not to mention ridiculous in the old days, when if a building worker fell from his ladder, all he probably suffered was an injured dignity and maybe a bruise on the knee. The old days are finished. Men and machines go faster and higher now. Accidents are more common and more serious. Ask Clancy of the Building Workers Industrial Union.
The Building Workers Industrial Union handles hundreds of compensation claims for its members every year, but it doesn't want to do it. It wants to see its members getting good wages, not compensation. It wants to know, before any accident has happened, if dangerous parts of machinery are properly and securely fenced, if scaffolding is properly constructed and properly used. It wants to know about those makeshift ladders that are real death traps. Here's how we deal with them, if we find out about them. It wants to be sure that there is proper overhead protection for workers with others above them. It wants to be sure that dangerous openings have a safe guardrail. We want you to get in first, before the accident, not after it. We want the bigger and better buildings that will be part of Australia's future to be free of the ghosts of killed and injured workers, built on foundations of rock, not on the bones and blood of the men who made them.
I see what you mean, mate. I didn't when I should have, but since then I've had plenty of time to think.